Alright, now that we have taken the time to learn how to use the gradient tool and place our colors into our pumpkin, the next thing that we're going to do is, yes, we are going to create the stem on top, and we are going to put the gradient in there for a nice effect in there. We're going to get rid of the black lines that outline our shapes that we've been using, and we're going to start to move on to making the face of our pumpkin. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to make the shape for the pumpkin up here on the top. We're going to put our stem, and this is going to be part 4. This is our pumpkin part 4. So we're going to make the stem, and then we're going to move to creating the face of the pumpkin and carving out our pumpkin. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to get our pen tool. So we're going to come over here to our toolbox, grab our pen tool, and we're just going to lay out a simple outline with just a few clicks of our pen. And we don't have to be super precise with this. We can just take a couple of shapes here. Don't worry if you have, like what I've done here, is I've forgotten to turn off my color and my gradient. But don't panic if this happens to you, and this is actually a good mistake. Don't panic. You can change this very, very easily. Let's go ahead and change this. Let's go ahead and use the None tool here, and now we have no color inside of our pumpkin stem. Alright, so let's go ahead and reshape this. Well, we're going to use the tool that we used before, which is our direct selection tool, and we're going to make sure that these anchor points are hollow so that we can select them and maybe move them around a little bit. I don't need them to be quite this low. We will, however, hide this behind the shape here in just a moment. And let's get our Convert Anchor Point tool. And now what we're going to do is select these shapes and bend them the way that we want. So I'm going to select and drag until I get the shape that I want. And we'll just pull this around this way. And I don't have to worry about the bottom here because it's going to be hidden behind when we start to work with this. Now I'm going to grab my anchor point here, and let's see how we do. Let's go ahead and shape this a little bit. If you make a mistake, I kind of like that little curve there. I'm going to leave it like that. And now I'm going to fill this with another color. So let's go ahead over here to our gradient tool, and the object or the shape that we've created is selected. So I can just come over here to my gradient tool and my swatches and pick 2 colors. So let's go ahead and get a nice dark green. I'm going to drag this upward to the gradient tool and just drag and drop. And I'm going to go ahead and select an extremely light green and drag and drop. And now I can get rid of these other paint buckets here that I don't want, so I'm going to just drag in a downward motion until it disappears. Same with the yellow paint bucket. And I'll slide these over all the way out to their edges and see what I come up with. And yes, I do like that because it's lighter on the left side and it's getting darker on the right. However, we can adjust this by moving the slider bars over a little bit to our left to see what we like. We can even make this a lighter green or a darker green. Something I didn't show you in the last part 3 of the pumpkin when I was doing the gradients is we can change the colors of these paint buckets because we are limited here in the swatch palette to just these colors. So what if I want to make a lighter green and I don't have it in the palette, or a darker green and I don't have it in this palette? Well, how do I do that? Well, as you can see right up here, I've got a color selection of my most recent selection, and if I want to change that selection, I can take my cursor, select this paint bucket, and now you can see it appears right here. And of course, when it appears here, I can see the percentages and the sliders here for the color that make this with the CMYK. So the K is black, so let's add a little black, and you'll see it change here. And you can see it visibly changing, and in the slider bar it's changing. Now I actually want to make this a lighter green, so maybe I want to take as much of blue out of it as I can and add some yellow so it gets a little bit lighter, maybe a little more yellow to it, but I don't like too much yellow in there. I want it to stay green. and maybe I want to add a little more magenta, see what happens there. It's a little too red, so go back. Maybe take a little bit of yellow out, and it gets a little more blue, a little more aqua. So I don't like any of those changes. So maybe what I need to do is to leave this color the way it is and make our green darker. So let's go ahead and make this maybe a little bit darker, and that'll offset the lighter edge on the other side. There we go. And I do like that. Maybe it needs to be a little more abrupt of a change. There we go. And if I'm still not happy with it, I can change this with my gradient tool, and I can try to direct which direction the gradient is moving. So maybe I go in a downward angle, and that doesn't really suit my needs, so I'm going to undo that. And I'm actually really enjoying the way it looks right now, so I may just go ahead and keep that, but at least I get to show you this a little bit of how this is working. And so we can keep trying and see if we come up with something that we really, really like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to leave it here and just do one final gradient here, see if I like it. And you know, I really don't like any of these. So we'll have to just keep trying later to see if we have one that we like. I'm getting closer. There we go. I do like that. Now this object is in front of this pumpkin, so let's go ahead and, since it's selected, we can arrange it. So I'm going to go to my object menu, arrange, and send to the back. And now I can see what this actually looks like, and that's not too bad. Now let's go ahead and start with our face. So we're going to take our pen tool and we're going to carve our pumpkin's face, and we're going to give him some eyes. So let's just go ahead and make some basic triangular eyes. And I'm going to notice I'm doing this out here on the desktop, and I'm going to make these eyes and then drag them in to the pumpkin. And there we go. Notice it is filling again, and it's with the last color that I left off with. So let's go ahead and fill this with none, so that there's no color inside of this. It's as if it's transparent. And now let's go ahead and take this and move it over to my pumpkin, and we'll just drag and drop. Now I've got a shape that I want to repeat because we want to keep the eyes the same shape or very close to it. So let's just do a copy. So I'm going to hold down the Command key and then the C key as in cat. And then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this shape. So I'm going to hold down the Command key and then the V key as in Velcro. And it duplicates it and places it automatically for me. And now I can bring this up to about the same level. And of course, I can now move these two around a little bit. And this, notice that this eye is tilted downward on this corner, and it's a little higher up on the right side. So let's rotate this, and I'm simply going to take my cursor, move it out from the anchor point a little bit till I see these two curved arrows, and slightly tilt it in. And maybe I want to move this out just a little bit more and maybe tilt it in just a little more, and that way I get a nice looking eye for my pumpkin. Notice that I can see through these lines and I can still see the pumpkin behind these two triangular shapes I made. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and make a nose for my pumpkin. I'm going to take the pen tool again and just do a simple, maybe even a smaller triangle, and we'll just fill it here. And then we're going to take our cursor, selection cursor, and drag this across and hopefully place it right where we want it. And then of course next I would draw in the mouth. So we're going to stop here, and I'm going to continue on with another lesson after this. If you have any questions up to this point, please email me or see me in class so I can help you. And I hope this was a good lesson for you, and we'll see you at the next lesson. Good luck.